Hello everyone and welcome back to the Virtual Safari. So today we've got another edition of the Virtual Safari. It seemed like everyone enjoyed the concept of a sit down and chat about a few comments that we come across on our YouTube, and it seems like it gives you all a bit of a understanding on what's going on behind the scenes with all the line dynamics. A lot of the information that I've gathered here today about these questions have actually come from comments that I've read on our YouTube channel or other YouTube channels. So it's really nice that we can get together and share information and have common interests and share a passion that we all love. So jumping straight into it, on the first comment we have here is, what is the story of the young male? This is commented by Diana Bell Miller. And that virtual was speaking about Mandevu, who's one of the tin swallow males, and then the other male, who is the young Orpen male. So that's who I'm assuming, Diana, that you're speaking about, the young male. I assume you're speaking about the young Orpen male. So I went and did a bit of homework, and this is what I was able to come up with. Obviously, he has never really been solely based in our game reserve. He's come from other game reserve. That's the beautiful thing, having no fences in between us and other game reserves where we're situated in as well with Kruger National Park. So a lot of these lineages and bloodlines come from different areas, and they move and they migrate into another area and maybe take over another area and pass their bloodline over there. So the story with the young Orpen male, his background, it all started with his grandfathers, the Matimba coalition. From what I understand, there were two males in that coalition, and they were based in the northern Sabi Sands. They were dominant over the Nkuhuma Pride and had been dominant over them for a couple years. They had given birth or sired a couple cubs, and during their reign they met these 5 young but very determined Birmingham males who have become a very famous coalition. And with these Birmingham males, you have that classic story where the two grandfather Matimba males versus the Birmingham males. It's the old but experienced versus the young, determined and fierce coalition. And to mention, the Birmingham males were a coalition of 5 males, so that is something pretty incredible. As the Birmingham males gained their confidence, they were eventually able to dethrone the Matimba males, and during that period only 1 cub was able to survive the onslaught of the Birminghams. The rest of the cubs were slaughtered by the Birminghams, as well with a couple females, to force females back into estrus so that they can mate and pass their bloodline along. That 1 cub that survived was aged between 2 and 3 years old. Decided now it's time for him to leave the pride. He's not going to make it, or he's not going to be accepted with these 5 new males that are completely different bloodline, and they don't want any other males growing up with any other genes. So this young male set sail and headed straight into Kruger from Sabi Sands. He started his nomadic life in Kruger National Park, and he was later named Junior. After a while, he went and met up with another male line completely unrelated to him, and they formed a coalition. So it was them two against the world. They aren't related to them, but they managed, because they found each other at a similar age in a similar predicament. They joined forces and said, we're going to take on the world together. That male that joined Junior, the cub of the Matimbas, was unknown at the time. Not many people knew about him. Potentially he came from a very remote region and didn't see many people, didn't get photographed that much, and he was an unknown male. So once he joined Junior, he was then named Buddy. So Buddy and Junior, just remember, Junior is the son of the Matimba males, who is the grandfather of the young Orpen male. So Buddy and Junior set sail from Kruger National Park and decided to go and take over the squirrel pride. They took over the squirrel pride, and this is where it becomes a bit of a grey area. It seems like they were dominant over the pride for about a year, which is a very short period to be dominant over a pride. Usually you need at least 2, 3, 4 years to be dominant over a pride to stand a chance of siring any cubs with those females. So they also went and took over the Koppies pride after taking over the squirrel pride. Once they were holding those two prides, the Hercules male plus his partner came and dethroned Junior and Buddy from the squirrel pride. Now Junior and Buddy were then focusing all of their time on the Koppies pride. Later on, during their reign, they got dethroned again from the Koppies pride, but they had given birth to cubs just before that. So the female that was the mother to those cubs thought, let me get out of the area, let me take these cubs and vanish, and basically hide the cubs from these new males. And those were, I believe, to be the Mberi males that came and took over the Koppies pride from Junior and Buddy. Now, this is a bit of another grey area. It's either the young Orpen male has come from the Koppies pride with that female that disappeared with those cubs, or he's come from the squirrel pride. It's a very small chance that the young Orpen male has come from the squirrel pride, being that Junior and Buddy were only dominant over them for about a year. So it's very slim chances that he actually survived being a year old and making it through into adulthood. So the safer option is that he came from the Koppies pride with that female. The female taught him everything he needed to know, fed him, and then later on left. After that, he actually came back to the Mberi pride, and it's such an interesting dynamic because the Tinswalo males are dominant over the Mberi pride, but it's almost like they accepted a newcomer, which is incredibly interesting. You don't often get to see that, and it seemed like when Mandevu and Nchila set off to go take over the squirrel pride, the young Orpen male almost seemed to be this pride like policeman. He would just look after the pride when Mandevu and Nchila were gone, and as soon as the female went into estrus in the Mberi pride, Nchila and Mandevu would come straight back, mate with those females, and leave back to Kruger again. In recent months, Nchila has not been seen for a very long time, and you know, we don't have any updates on him, unfortunately, but it seems as though just due to all the animal behavior, I explained it in quite some detail in our last Q&A, it seems like Nchila has passed on, and it looks like the Mandevu male has taken in the young Orpen male as a new coalition partner. So quite an interesting story with the young Orpen male, and you know, not an easy life being a male lion, but it seems like he's had quite a good ride, and what an opportunity to join forces with Mandevu, someone that's a little bit more experienced than him, a little bit more older, and then it looks like Mandevu is growing up to be a beast with having that Matimba coalition, Junior's genes, and then the young Orpen male is just looking like he's turning into a monster, a unit of a male lion, and he's actually already bigger than Mandevu. Mandevu has a bigger mane, fuller mane, but in body size, the young Orpen male is actually already bigger than Mandevu, which is very interesting. On to comment number 2, and this is one of the questions that I really enjoyed. How often do tourist groups or vehicles disturb successful hunts, preventing lions to be well fed? I found that such an interesting question because it's not something that you often actually think about, or not something that guests often ask you about. And there's quite a few levels to this question. So if you have a look at lion behavior itself, lions will do the vast majority of their hunting at night, and if they hunt during the day, it will be dusk and dawn, so very low light situations. But if they do get an opportunity during the day that presents itself to them, and they think, wow, this is, they don't know when their next meal is going to be. They think they're going to have a chance, they're going to go for it. But they do their vast majority of the hunting at night. And speaking about their success rate, because this I feel like is another important piece of information for this question. Their success rate sits between about 30 to 35, let's say 40%, being safe, but usually about 30 to 35% successful. So that could mean 1 in every 3 attempts, or 1 in every 4 attempts almost, they're successful. So it's actually quite a low success rate, and if you're comparing it to something like wild dogs, which sits at about 80 to 85% success rate. Sometimes it does happen. Sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you give the whereabouts of the lions to its prey, and the prey run away. Sometimes that can happen. I feel like I potentially could have been guilty once, where I'm just speaking about this, it comes to mind, where I was following lions at night and obviously shining the spotlight, keeping up with them, and they didn't see the prey themselves, but because I was shining the spotlight on the lions, I believe the prey could have seen the lions a little bit better, and they got spooked and ran away. So that's a possibility as well. Vehicles, like private vehicles, don't really spoil hunts because they have to stick on particular roads, and they're not allowed to off-road, so they're not going to kind of really get in the mix of it unless lions are chasing something across the road, then potentially, but not very often. And also, the area that we are speaking about is so vast, if you take it into account, it barely ever happens. On to the third comment. Wow, Red Road, what an absolute unit. How old is he? So, first of all, Red Road is an absolute unit. He is such a monstrous machine of a lion, and also when you see him stand up and like stretch out, you can see all these veins along his stomach. He has such a very low body fat percentage and in such phenomenal shape. To answer your question, he should be around about 10 years old, maybe going on to 11. So starting to reach the end of his life expectancy. The general age for male lions in the wild is going to be around 12, push it's either side, so 11 and a half, 12, 12 and a half, maybe 13, if they get around and stay out of other males' ways. Usually males would have been pushed out by now by other bigger males, so it's very impressive that Red Road's been able to hold, have a stronghold on the Nauru Pride as well. That territory that he has is such a prime territory. You have Main Dam there, which is such a large body of water, and so many animals go down there, and like countless species, impala, kudu, waterbuck, zebra, giraffe, elephants. There's such an abundance of game there. They have such a prime territory, and it's very interesting how Red Road's just been able to keep that for such a long time, and keep hold of the Nauru females, mate with the Nauru females, sire cubs. So it's very, very impressive on Red Road's side. So yeah, about 10, maybe going on 11, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he manages on in the future. On to the next one. What about the 2 males that were seen in Red Road's territory lately? Any updates? So this is quite a good one as well. So they came in, if you go have a look back, you would be able to see a virtual called 2 new huge male lions taking over the pride with the question mark, because we weren't sure at that moment. They were mating with the Nauru female, so it looked like they were trying to take over the pride. As well, they pushed the Narus and the young Sabadot male off of that giraffe kill, fed on that giraffe kill, mated with the Nauru female. Soon after they had left, maybe made 1 or 2 more appearances back into the Manuleti, and then afterwards seems like they did a loop around the Manuleti into the northern Sabi Sands, and it seems like they've pushed the Kruger male and southern Avoca male almost southwesterly towards Elephant Plains side in Sabi Sands, and then also just the lion dynamics in northern Sabi Sands have been all over the place. You've had, you know, the Kruger male that's kind of joined forces with the southern Avoca male, and then the 4 Kambula boys are also trying to take over the north, as well with the 2 Plains Camp males. And I believe, don't quote me on this, it might be the Kajimas that were also trying. I know there was a coalition of 2 males that were also trying to take hold of the north. So those Mantamatli males that came in did a basic loop around us and went into northern Sabi Sands, pushed the Kruger male and southern Avoca male to the southwestern region of Sabi Sands towards Elephant Plains side. And then if you go look on Wild Earth, in one of their episodes, they go out in the morning and they go and find one of the Kambula males, and I believe it might be K4, and I really hope we can come up with better names for those Kambula males instead of K3, K4, K5 and the other one. I really hope we can come up with some better names for them. But it seems like they came across K4 and he had such bad wounds. You'll see his leg is just, it almost looked broken. Obviously one male must have pinned him down and grabbed onto his head. The other male went to work on his rump and rear section of his body, and he looked in real bad shape. So that was actually believed to be done by those 2 males that were in the Manyeleti, those 2 Mantamatli males. And just on the Kambula male, he is recovering. He's been seen feeding on a giraffe carcass, so that's great news. And it seems like they've set up shop in northern Sabi Sands. We haven't heard much updates on them, of course being out of our game reserve, and we can only assume from what we've asked other guides there and videos that we see on the internet. So that's the information I've got on it. Yeah, so they came in, pushed the Narus off a giraffe kill, mated with the Naru female, ate on the giraffe kill, went to northern Sabi Sands, pushed Kruger male, pushed the southern Avoca male, and had a scuffle with K4, one of the 4 Kambula males, and injured him quite badly. So it seems like they're here to cause some damage, which is quite interesting. And the 5th and last comment that we're going to chat about: can you please update us on pride numbers and status? So I can definitely update you on pride numbers. I'm not too sure what you mean by status. 10 in the Mberi pride, 9 in the Naru pride, 4 females in the Mbali pride. We're not sure about the males. Skoro pride, plus minus 11 females, dominated by either still Mandevu, most likely the Mangawan males, which are 2. Birmingham's, 2 males, and then other than the males, 20 plus other individuals. So safe to say 22, but I'm sure it's actually even more than that. So that's going to bring us to the end of this Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I answered these questions as well as you would have liked, and you understood me clearly. And please don't forget to send in some comments and questions so we can keep making more of these. Like I said, we really want to make this often occurrence, maybe once a week, once every month, something like that. Seems like everyone enjoys it, and I'd also enjoy it. Yeah, so please don't forget also to subscribe to the Virtual Safari so you don't miss any of our virtuals, and keep leaving that positive feedback and constructive criticism here and there as well. We do appreciate that as well. So thank you all for joining, and I'll see you on the next Virtual Safari, where I'm going to be in my vehicle trying to find you all some animals.